is a writer for theathletic.com, and I've been thinking about reaching out to him now for months because of the morning newsletter that is kind of a summary of everything that just happened the night before. And, I mean, even if it's late into the night, whether it's a late NBA Finals game or whatever. And he joins us now from the Pulse, theathletic.com on 365 Sports with Craig and David Smoak. Chris, thank you very much for your time. So how did you get into the business? We'll get into what you do, the Pulse. I'm very impressed with it and the way it's easy to read. But how did you get into the business? Give us a little background.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for that kind intro. I got into the business. I went to school for sports journalism. I was a baseball beat writer for a while, and then kind of veered out of the industry. And I came back to do this. I really believe in the potency of newsletters, and it's a really exciting space right now. And I'm having a lot of fun doing what I do. And as you mentioned, my sleep schedule is very strange, but it's a lot of fun.
So, do you kind of have jot notes down throughout the day on like a notepad or maybe an iPad or yourself? How do you, because there's so many moving parts, and whatever you think might be the story at 1 o'clock on a Sunday may not even be a part of it until a blip on the radar by 10 o'clock that night.
It's true. I do keep a running document open during the day. And when I see something, I might write a little something down or just write like a mental note for later. But I mean, the prime of what I do, it's awesome and it's scary at the same time because everything is my beat. So I have so much stuff to choose from, but I also have everything to choose from, and it's very hard to pick sometimes when you have a limited amount of space and time that you want to have people reading, and everything is available and everything is interesting because the sports world is largely interesting, especially when it's busy. So most of my work is done at night, but I definitely keep a running tab during the day. I mean, some stuff, the advantage of being at a great place like The Athletic is that we write and break news that I know is going to impact the sports news world the next day. So, for example, if we had a feature running tomorrow, I don't know of any yet, but that I know has this like juicy tidbit in there, I can go ahead and do this and like write that earlier because I know it's going to make people talk the next day, and I have it at 2 p.m. before anyone else has it. So that's a very cool advantage of working where I work and working with the great journalists that I work with. But otherwise, this is 11 p.m. Let's make a final call on what we have here, you know?
Well, I was going to ask you what you kind of alluded to it on the fact that there are different parts of what The Athletic produces on a daily basis. And do they sometimes, an editor or whoever, say, hey, by the way, will you include these next 3 things tomorrow morning?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we have, I've been at The Athletic almost 2 years now, and we have grown a really big audience. Thankfully, it's been a wonderful ride, but we have a lot of eyes on our newsletter. So I get a lot of heads up, but I like to search it out too. I'm in every room at the company, basically virtually, and I feel like I need to know what's going on in every section and what's happening. So most of my day, jotting notes down, is spent reading. I read every single thing that we write, basically, and to make sure I'm not missing anything. It's one of my biggest fears is that I miss a big thing that we do and that I can't use it.
Do you have the ability now to maybe show off your sense of humor in this role rather than what you were doing before?
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely always been available to me, you know, maybe on social media, but here I can do it to a wider audience and people like it. It's very nice. Sometimes I worry that it doesn't translate, but people seem to like it, and I've been encouraged to do it from the people on my team. So it's a cool thing that I'm able to do. I'm really blessed.
Yeah. Okay. So tonight, Game 3. The lead or the headline this morning in your newsletter, who's scoring 20 tonight? That game yesterday, I got home to watch it, and I think it was already like 18-4, whatever the score might have been. That turned into just what might have been, let's say, a 7-2 win by Florida to extend it to Game 3 into just a completely different story, did it not?
It absolutely did. And here's the thing that I wasn't able to expound on in the newsletter. That's crazy, and it is a conversation about the College World Series at large where, you know, LSU will have played, and Florida less so because they've won all of their games besides, you know, Friday's game. LSU played, I think this is like their 7th game or 6th game in 8 or 9 days. So the pitching staff is just burned out. And at some point, if you look into the stats, when it was like 8 or 9 to 3, LSU, without blatantly saying it, kind of waved the white flag. And they put in, back of the bullpen relievers to eat up some innings and to save all those arms for tonight, which is, to me, it's crazy that you're in a national title series. And that's probably the smart play once you get 5 or 6 runs down, is to essentially be like, score 24 runs on us and we'll get you tomorrow, maybe. It's just,
Yeah.
It blows my mind. It's cool, and it's cool strategy, but it's also, it feels off, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I mentioned this early in the show that usually when a team unloads, even if it's like a football game or a basketball game where they just get a silly amount of points, it doesn't happen the next time. Now, I'm not football. You can go 56-0 and win, score 56 the next week. But most of the time when you put up a 23 or 24 or 20 spot in baseball, you're going to be begging maybe for those runs, especially with, and that's one of my next questions, what do they do with LSU with Skeens as far as his pitch count and how they handle him tonight?
I think he's going to throw. They announced about an hour ago that one of their better relievers is going to start the game. But Skeens, there's no official word. I am going to bet that he will pitch 30 to 50 pitches if necessary. I mean, you think back to Madison Bumgarner for the Giants in that World Series where he kind of closed it out with, I think, 50 to 70 pitches after pitching a couple of days before. I don't see a scenario where I assume Paul Skeens really wants to pitch. I mean, he's either the number 1 or number 2 overall draft pick right now, projected at various outlets. And he's got to pitch, right? And he's the best pitcher in baseball right now. This is what you come to LSU. This is what you come to the SEC to do, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't see how that doesn't happen. Fascinated to see how Florida's pitching staff handles it. The two-way kid, Caglione, who hit an absolute bomb yesterday, he's pitching for them today. And he's been up and down this year, but he has a lot of arm talent too. So, I mean, we're getting the national title game that we deserve as fans. I mean, these are two talent-laden teams. I mean, the top 3 draft pick in the draft right now are in this game. So college baseball can't ask for anything better, in my opinion.
Again, we're talking to Chris Branch, The Athletic. He writes the Pulse every morning in your newsletter if you subscribe. So the last part of each time you do something every morning, and I was going to ask you this, there's the Trey Turner note, there's NHL draft, there's argue about what each team or who should pick what. And then you have F1 for Formula One, and then there's also the minor league prospects in baseball. Is there a sport where you need a nudge or someone to kind of make sure you have to ask? It seems like you're pretty well versed in all of them.
No, I feel a sense of responsibility to not ignore it. I mean, there is clearly a hierarchy of interest, just as, you guys live and work in sports, so you know that, I mean, the NFL is going to be a huge driver for us, and that's going to get features NBA, MLB, but all of these sports, and we, in my opinion, I'm biased, create some of the best journalism around with it. I mean, we have the best F1 writers in America. We have the best women's soccer writers in America, and they're producing this amazing stuff that I believe should be read. So I don't find it. I mean, maybe I'm not going to write 300 words on them every day, but I do believe they deserve space, and we see metrics-wise that people are interested. I mean, it bears it out. I mean, it's the, like I kind of alluded to earlier, the beauty and the struggle of an all sports newsletter is that all of them are under my purview, and I try my hardest to give everybody the shine they deserve.
Well, no question. I'm glad we had a chance. Appreciate your time to kind of just. I really wanted to promote what you do. It's not get more subscriptions or not. I just. Because there's a lot of name columnists, college football, baseball, as you said, Formula One, golf, whatever. And I just find that your morning newsletter is sneaky good and well-written. And does it make sense when I say it's an easy read, it's smooth? Is that the best compliment? Is that the best compliment? Yeah.
It absolutely is. And here's what I strive for every day. And I get a chuckle out of this, is that I am writing to inform, my friends' moms and dads and their friends who might not be as interested in sports. If they can read my newsletter and feel like they are up on sports, then I win. So that is what I'm going for. I honestly, I write it for them, and then I find it interesting and funny that these hardcore sports fans are reading, enjoying it too, because I worry that I dumb it down too much. But people seem to like it. I really enjoy doing it, and I really appreciate you promoting it. I mean, thank you for the kind words.
No, it's good because it's the only sports website that I prescribe to. I get SI.com too, but I don't have to subscribe to it. And I don't know what I would do. But and it's very, very, to me, worth the money and the price. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate your time. Continue. Please do the great work you're doing.
Thank you all for having me on.
Chris Branch with theathletic.com. It's called The Pulse. Every morning you'll see it come through in your email. It's well done. It reminds me of back